What is that?
The updates.
You're doing an update?
You got it, buddy.
Izzy's doing an update?
You provide us with the news, Stu. You're a newsman.
It's good music.
It is.
You're doing this just for the music, aren't you?
Yes.
There's an urgency to this music. How long is the bet?
48 more seconds.
Okay.
Hurry.
Panther Sam Bennett wins the Conn Smythe after an NHL high 15 goals.
Good time to get hot.
The B and Bennett
Brinks.
backing up the Brinks truck. We can't be that lazy. We're just going to say Brinks. Caitlin Clark scored 20 points in an 88-71 Fever win over the Connecticut Sun.
20 seconds.
The C in Caitlin Clark stands for Chippy. Things are getting chippy out there with her. And finally, Scotland has 421 words for snow. You know what they say, Izzy? If you have 421 words for snow, you don't have one.
Wow, landed it at the zeros. You are
I'm
amazing.
a pro, yes.
We can keep it. If they wanted to get the news music continuing, we've got breaking news from the elbow room. Excuse me, the elbow room.
Yeah, thank
where the
you.
Florida Panthers are celebrating with the Stanley Cup. It's already damaged. It's got a very significant little chip in it right there. When Antoine Lundell was holding it up, you could see it. Good thing this is like the party cup, right? This isn't the actual cup, so...
Listen, they put that cup in the ocean last year.
Right.
And they're going to do it again this year.
Yeah, if they haven't already.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's going on at the elbow room? So listen, the elbow room is already damaged, okay? From years upon years upon years of people doing cocaine at that bar.
Yeah.
All right? So I don't want to hear that it's damaged for the Stanley Cup. The elbow room is getting the most promotion. Remember Dwayne Wade was sitting at Prime 112 when LeBron made that decision?
Yes.
That's the kind of marketing right now that Elbow Room is getting. Elbow Room has no reason to be getting the national pub that they're getting right now.
If we get like a Category 5 hurricane in Fort Lauderdale and it just blows up all of Fort Lauderdale, the Elbow Room will be standing there and about 3 people in there will be wasted and just have ridden that hurricane
It will be the last building standing in Miami.
I'm glad you mentioned Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
I need to issue an apology.
Really?
Yeah.
Gonna walk something back, huh?
Yeah.
If we had a cordless mic, I would make you walk backwards while doing it.
That would be great. That would be great. Like, you can't turn around, right? So just walk backward. Well, let's work on that.
Okay.
I need to walk something back.
Right.
I told you guys something on this pod that I'd mentioned on Oddball with Amin El Hassan, where I said that I would take, it's sort of like an elevator game, right?
Yeah.
Where you're in the elevator with somebody, and then the elevator opens, and there's somebody in that floor, and you decide whether you want to stay with the guy in your elevator or take the guy that's waiting for the elevator.
We've all been there.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was in the elevator with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's a nice time.
Really?
I mean, he's not the most interesting person in the world, but it was a nice little elevator chat.
Mm-hmm.
And we opened the door. 2000 Allen Iverson was in there. I stayed with Shai. A little dicey, but I stayed with Shai.
Right.
And then another floor, 2006 Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
And I stuck with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
You did, yeah.
And I need to apologize.
I was
for
so
not
surprised
picking
when
up
you did it. I got to be honest with
man.
you. Yeah.
I was like, so I should have absolutely kicked Shai out and brought Dwayne back in. And it's not a homer thing. It's not because I was covering the team for the Miami Herald at the time and probably wrote the best game story of all of them. Mm-hmm. But
are you claiming you wrote the best game story to that game?
oh yeah, it's no question about
Better than Greg Cody's?
it. It wasn't a game story. Greg Cody probably wrote a column that day, not a game story.
oh,
so
not a
mine
game- I'm sorry.
So you're talking about comparing mine to like the
sorry.
Ira Windermans of
Yes.
the world.
What was Greg Cody's headline this morning for the Panthers? Do you know?
I don't know what the headline was, but the group chat says that he came up with another great Oilers nickname.
What was it?
Leon No Title.
I love that guy.
That's why he's the best.
Yeah, Greg Cody. Yes. That's why he's the best?
Well, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, back to your game
So
story.
you know this whole situation, right, where you're watching something and, like, I'm old enough to just be like, I feel like maybe I'm getting old where I think everything in the past was better than it is now.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, I think Dwayne Wade against this competition with these teammates, 06 Dwayne Wade, would be okay. But then I'm like, he never won an MVP, right? He wasn't, like, In 06, he had Shaq next to him, so there was at least a distraction for the defenses.
It wasn't prime Shaq, though. Let's be clear.
Correct.
Like, Wade was the clear number one on that team.
Right,
Yes.
but then I started thinking, well, 06 Dwayne Wade wasn't quite 08, 09 Dwayne Wade, and that Dwayne Wade finished top 3 in MVP and maybe could have been MVP if LeBron James didn't exist.
Right.
But Shea did win an MVP. He won an MVP over the Joker, who had crazy numbers. And so, I just went with the statistics and everything else and the trophies. But you really got to go back and look what Dwayne Wade did in those playoffs.
Right.
And, so even just the playoffs.
You were there, Izzy.
I know. And it was wild.
Right.
Even just the playoffs, Shea has him on numbers. Shea averaged 30.4, or is averaging in these playoffs, 30.4 points, 6.5 assists, 5.4 rebounds. That's crazy numbers. And Dwayne, throughout the 2006 playoffs, didn't have those numbers exactly. He was pretty good. He had 28.4, 5.7 assists. And so in that case, you could say during this playoff run,
yes,
Shea has been more, let's say, unstoppable than Dwayne was at that time. You could argue, even though it's only a couple of points.
Okay.
But then you get to the finals. And you would imagine greater competition, right? Higher pressure, etc.
Right.
And in these finals, even though Shea, and this is where I got caught up in the air, even though Shea, his first 2 games, the highest point total of any player in his finals debut over the first 2 games, if you go out through averages, Shea Alexander in these finals is giving you, hang on, I'm right here, 32.4 points.
Right.
4.6 rebounds.
Yes.
5 assists, 2.4 steals.
Right.
And 1.8 blocks. That's crazy good.
And he had the big fourth quarter. When
Huge
they needed
fourth
it
quarter.
on the road, they needed it in a big spot, and he saved the series. For
Right.
them. Right.
But Dwayne not only had better numbers in his finals, it was 34.7 points, 7.8 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 2.7 steals. But look who Shea has playing next to him. Jalen Williams, who just scored 40. Jalen Williams, who's averaging 26 and 6.
Who I gave a standing ovation to in my living room.
In his living room.
Yes.
And Abby didn't know what the hell was going on.
She thought it was weird.
I'll give you 2 guesses as to who the second leading scorer for the Miami Heat was in the NBA Finals.
All right, so it's not going to be Shaq.
Okay, that's not one of your guesses? Then yes, I'll eliminate that. He was not it. He was close, but he was not it.
So this is the 06 NBA Finals, second leading scorer on that team. Wow. Mario Chalmers?
Did not exist in the NBA yet.
Really? He was still at Kansas, huh?
He graduated. I think he left Kansas. He beat Kansas, beat Memphis in that 08 Final Four. So, yeah, he was still at Kansas.
Yeah.
It's probably his freshman year. So, yeah.
Chris
he couldn't
Douglas
have
Roberts,
participated.
CDR.
Rio.
I'll give you some names. You want some names that were on the team?
Yeah, because I don't remember that team.
Alonzo Mourning was on that team.
He was
Udonis
not the second.
Haslem
He was
on
not.
that team.
It was not Haslem.
James Posey.
James Posey. That's my guy.
Ooh.
James
you don't
Posey.
want me to finish the list?
Okay, finish.
Jason Williams was on that team. Antoine Walker was on that team.
Antoine.
It was Antoine.
Was it
It
really?
was Antoine Walker. 13.8 points a game.
Wow.
Second, and then Shaq was third with 13.7. So that's a gap of 21 points between the first and second leading scorer, which means Dwayne Wade was more head of the snake, more man than Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was, the man, than Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was in these finals so far, or he has been in these finals so far. And obviously he's let Halliburton, except for the one game, let Halliburton take over that clutch, Gene situation.
He's been the biggest star of these playoffs, Halliburton.
Halliburton
He
has,
been, yes.
right. And I don't
Most
think Dwayne
talked
Wade
about
would have
guy.
allowed that to happen. And so, yeah, I just have to issue to 2006 Dwayne Wade specifically.
Yes.
I apologize, my man. That was just caught up in the moment. And the other thing is it when you see it, right? I'm just going to stop doubting myself because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, there's a great post. I forget the guy's name. I'm not going to be able to find it. But he said that his friend told him that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was like if Dwayne Wade, or if LaMarcus Aldridge was Dwayne Wade. And I don't really know what that means, but I understand it. Because he does everything Dwayne Wade does, but he stops at the mid-range. He doesn't go he gets to the rim sometimes, but he doesn't dunk over people. He doesn't do the athletic stuff. And, yeah, I just feel like if Dwayne Wade in 2006 was on this Thunder team with this collection of talent around him, he could give you 40 if you really wanted to.
What happened here was you got swept up in the analytics when you just sometimes you just have to trust the eye test.
I taught you so well. Yeah.
But the MVP trophy is what really got me.
Right.
Because it's Dwayne Wade was amazing in 2008, 2009. That's where he got the "this is my house" game and all that stuff.
Right.
And he was still third in MVP, and yet Shea won an MVP in the Western Conference as a point guard. And I just kind of caught up in that and really didn't sort of appreciate what Dwayne did in 06.
In a strange world, if 06 Wade was playing at the same time as 2025 SGA, who would win the MVP? Dwayne Wade.
I think it would be Dwayne Wade. like the
and
eras haven't changed
and the
that
finals
much.
MVP, and he dunked on somebody.
Yeah. Not only there's that, but three-point line wasn't respected as much in 06.
Correct.
So Dwayne Wade had to work against collapsing defenses and players that were already in the paint trying to defend Shaq and Zoe.
Right.
And so he did all that without the luxury of a reliable three-point shot, man. And he did all that in the time of prime LeBron James, who will go down as the greatest or second greatest player of all time. Sorry, Stu. Second greatest player of all time. And he was right there comparable with him. So is it more impressive to be, in that MVP conversation in the LeBron era or in the Nikola Jokic era? I think historically it's probably going to be more so in the LeBron era.
I'm with Taylor on the eye test. I look at them both play, and Dwayne Wade's the better player.
Yeah.
He's more fun to watch.
To watch.
He is. Dwayne Wade is an all-timer. I don't think anyone is viewing SGA as an all-timer yet.
But and this is exactly where I got caught up.
But Wade had range to his game. I'm telling you, this factors into it. I've been saying it for a while. The fact that SGA is doing this mid-range jumper by mid-range jumper, 2 points at a time, not dunking on anyone, it works against him. He's a great player. There's no denying it. But it works against him. So, if all things are even, Wade and SGA, you're going to take the guy with some flash, some pizzazz.
Wow, great.
You like what I did there, huh?
Yeah. Well, the thing is SGA gets to his unstoppable spot better than anybody, really, and then just keeps going there. You don't need to change it if it keeps working. There was more variety in what Dwayne did. There was, less predictability, and it's to SGA's credit, to be honest. If you're that predictable, if you know where his spot is, he's still going to get there and get that shot off and make it, half the time.
You know where he's trying to go, and he's still getting to the place he's trying to go, right?
And so that's where I feel like I got caught up. But then I said to myself, you know what? Dwayne could just get anywhere. His crossover, his right to left crossover was just probably the best in the game for a good amount of time. Left guys in the dust. And I think of Dwayne Wade, 06 Dwayne Wade against the Andrew Nemhards of the world. No offense, but the Andrew Nemhards
was kind of
offensive. No. What he did there, and he did it purposely, is he picked the perfect name, Nemhard.
And back in Dwayne's day, those were the Keith Bogans of the world, right? He left those guys in the dust. He left those guys on the ground. And I completely, for that half-an-hour podcast recording, completely lost my mind. And I'm sorry to 06 Dwayne Wade.
You walked it back.
Yeah. I was spinning so many plates earlier when Izzy started this segment. I thought you were actually in an elevator with SGA.
And Iverson.
Yes. I was like, where is this?
Most famous person you've been in an elevator with?
Oh, wow.
I've got two. One of them was, this was before when he was president of ESPN, it was John Skipper. But then in 2016, I was in an elevator with Spike Lee in Chicago. So that's probably currently the most famous. Unless you count, I don't count people that I work with. NBA people can't count, right?
Did you have a conversation with Spike?
Oh, then that means Skipper does. Yeah, we did. We had a conversation. He recognized me eventually once I said his name. There was only 4 of us in the elevator, and we took a picture. It was nice.
Right. What just happened with Skip there?
I just said that I just said that NBA people don't count because it's not people I work with. But then Skipper was somebody that I worked with, so he can't count either. So
right, because you've been in an elevator, I'm assuming, with Doris Burke, with Mike Breen, with Jeff Van Gundy, with Mark Jackson, with everyone who's covered the NBA.
Yeah, it doesn't really count, especially if they don't remember I was in there.
Is there someone where if you're rushing to get into the elevator and that person is in the elevator already, you'll wait for the next one? Oh, there has to be.
Wow. There's plenty of people.
Mine's Dan.
Just be so awkward.
Why are you shrinking?
Well, to be fair, nobody
There's
wants
not
to be
enough room.
asked. Nobody wants to be asked what your worst moment in life was every single time, right? It's we're just in an elevator, bro.
Put you on the couch. There's no couch in the elevator. What do you want me to do? So you walked it back. Do you feel better now?
I do.
Right.
I do, because I'm still seeing alerts on my phone that people comment on that one post on Instagram, and
They
I'm just
live with
like,
you forever.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry. I wish I could just walk that one back immediately. But I actually am a little bit apologetic to Froby, 08 Kobe, because I took Shea Gilgeous-Alexander over him too. And while he wasn't the fully formed Kobe, he was still Kobe bleeping Bryant. And so, yeah, I got to walk that one back too.
All right.
But I'm not that apologetic to him.
No. All right. Game 6 is coming up tomorrow night.
It's exciting.
I think the Pacers have a fascinating decision to make here because as a head coach, your job is to give your team the best chance to win. And I'm not certain Halliburton playing as many minutes as he played last game, especially with the injuries, of course, this is why we're bringing it up, is giving your team the best chance to win a basketball game. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think if you look at it in terms of him not being at 100%, never mind the risk for further injury, just the fact that he's not 100%, and you know that he has never been your like shot creator for himself. He's not somebody that just takes over the game that way. I think you can still trust your offense without him in there. I think you can still trust that they can get the ball to Pascal Siakam, especially on mismatches, but just in general, because that would be where they look. And then your boy, man, TJ McConnell. Like, you got to be able to trust him. I do believe that you can play him, not exhaust him. Like, I don't want to send him to the hospital like Matthew Dellavedova covering Steph Curry, but I do think if you increase his minutes and then when he's not in there, maybe just a hodgepodge where you don't need a true point guard there, I think you can pull that off, especially if you're just going to make life a little bit more defensively, aggravating for SGA if you can do that. But I think Halliburton's going to give it a go, and as long as he doesn't have a significant injury, he's probably going to get at least his 20 minutes.
I was thinking about this for the NBA, just like viewing it through their prism, having a Pacers OKC final, and I don't care what anyone in the NBA says to me, that's not the finals they want. They don't want these teams to be the two best teams in the NBA. But Oklahoma City is a team that's not going away anytime soon. They're going to be, much like the Florida Panthers down here, this is a team, and no one wants the Panthers to be the best team in hockey, okay? But just like that, the Thunder are good. They're young. They have an MVP who's not even approached his prime yet, and they have a great GM. They know how to run a basketball team. They know how to replace players. Once those players get past their prime, they let them go. They get new ones, right? OKC is not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm not certain that's a good recipe for the NBA.
No, well, it is in a couple of ways. One, by the way, I also don't think the Pacers are going anywhere anytime soon.
Agreed.
But what the Thunder do, I don't know if you remember when Brian Windhorst said going into the playoffs, nobody's afraid of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Right.
I still think that is true, right? Even though they won these games, these series, and have gotten to the finals and have the lead here, I don't think there's anybody that says to themselves, with our loaded roster, everybody healthy, we're afraid of OKC. I even think the Golden State Warriors, if they would have had Steph Curry and faced OKC, would have felt fine facing them. And so what that does, assuming Thunder continue and win this championship, is it makes every other big name out there think, oh, we can win it next year.
Right.
Like, the Philadelphia 76ers can convince themselves, not only because of a weaker East and they have time to sort of find their way again with whoever is in that roster around Joel Embiid, but the Cavs can say, hey, yeah, we screwed up, but we're still tough. Boston can tell you that we're still going to be good without Jason Tatum. And so, yeah, I think it makes everybody believe that they can win it, and so they're going to put pressure on their GM. They're going to put pressure on guys to be like, hey, let's put this team together and try to get this chip because the league's up for grabs.
Right. What'd you make of Desmond Bane, by the way? Going to the Magic, 5 first-round picks?
4.
4 first-round picks. So Mikal Bridges, in the last year and a half, we've had Mikal Bridges traded to the Knicks for 5 first-round picks. Knicks still don't have a head coach, by the way. And Desmond Bane, who's a good player, a great player. He's
hasn't
a good
made an
player.
All-Star team. Hasn't made an All-NBA team.
Yeah, but he does something they sorely need, which is hit
Work
threes.
biceps.
Well, I need those. But Desmond Bane, 4 first-round picks to the Magic, and I think the Magic are kind of seeing it the way you just kind of described it in the East. There is a window for any team to make it to the NBA Finals. Hell, the Pacers are there. Yeah. Why not the Orlando Magic? And so they make that deal.
Well, the Magic are, in desperate need of shooting, right? That's what was their downfall this season. But they had a very specific identity. It was defense. It was just suffocate you and just be athletic and offensively, not traditional like the way we're playing right now, but just, do whatever they have to do, but they needed shooting. They got rid of KCP as a shooter, and Cole Anthony, who was a defensive wizard, and KCP also great on defense. And you bring in a guy in Desmond Bane, who, yes, he can shoot, but he's not just a spacer. You're not bringing him in just to be a spot-up guy. Like, he needs to create for you. He needs to create. And he's okay at that. He's never been great at that. He's okay at that. And then this is the part that made me laugh about the trade, where it's Jeff Weltman. I believe he is the president of basketball ops in Orlando.
Yep, Welty.
He said, everybody calls him Welty. He said of Desmond Bane, the guy is almost the player you would design if you could start from scratch.
Really?
That word almost is doing a lot of work right there, man.
Let me hear that quote again.
The guy is almost the player you would design if you could start from scratch. So if you're playing 2K, you get your perfect build, and then you just like shorten his arms a bunch. And he's almost, because that's the one thing people know about Desmond Bane. He's the rare NBA player whose wingspan is shorter than his height. And I don't know if you know about, biology or physiology and all that stuff, but your wingspan should be on average as tall as you are. That's why the really tall really long wingspans is crazy, because it's just like, wow. And he's got the dinosaur arms.
Right.
And that's not the perfect player. Like, that's the opposite of what you would build.
That's why he said almost.
Almost. But that's a big almost.
I think when you go there, you just have to commit to it.
Yeah. I guess he got caught up in the air a lot like I did with those 6'8".
We all know that person would be Michael Jordan. So
I mean, LeBron's a pretty good person in terms of a template.
But Michael's
for an NBA
better.
player.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, he might be.
If you're going to make a basketball player from scratch and you want him to look the part, it would
Victor
be
Wembanyama.
Well, Michael Jordan or Sean Kemp, I think, right?
Wow, that's
the Rain Man's pretty good.
If you were drafting the players from traits that they have, Jordan's intangibles, 1-1. They're going, you're rushing that in. Hold on, I have a draft down.
You just wanted to play that, didn't you?
Yeah.
You're racing to hand that card in. Jordan's intangibles, 1-1.
Hit the thing again.
The pick is in.
Wait, so if you are just basing it on physical traits, if you were to make a basketball player from scratch, it's almost Desmond Bane, who would be the perfect basketball player? It has to be MJ, though.
I mean, it could be a couple inches taller than MJ, but he is the kind of prototype, long arms, all arms and legs. Durant might be too scared. Have you seen his feet?
No.
Oh my God, they're like hockey sticks.
Really?
They look like they were way too long, and you can just snap them at any time.
One of his toes cost him a trip to the NBA Finals.
Right, too long. Shorten those bad boys up.
Too long. It was the Eastern Conference semifinals, actually.
Yeah,
right?
him getting a pedicure, and can you shorten them up a little bit? They're a little long.
So what are you thinking? Like Kobe? Kobe's kind of like Michael in that mode, right? 6'6".
I think the perfect basketball player is probably 6'8", 6'9", long arms. There's something about calves that, I don't know this, but if you can look at them and tell like the perfect calves for jumping, and they would have that as well. But it's certainly not like Desmond Bane with all the people talk about his biceps, but it's really triceps and shoulders. That guy's like popping out the triceps here, the shoulders are like. I talked to Dylan Brooks about him one day, and he was just like, "Yeah, man, that guy just like lives in the gym, and nobody can compete with him." And yeah, that's his best That's his best attribute, but it's certainly not a perfect basketball player.
How about Scottie Pippen? Slightly taller than Jordan, skinnier. He was like 6'7", 6'8". Because I think 6'6" is the perfect height for a basketball.
You know what?
I'm not just saying that because Michael was 6'6".
No, I think
I am.
I think LeBron's deceiving because he's so muscular that he doesn't look as long and as he really is. And so I think it's probably LeBron. Although Sean Kemp is a crazy pull for you.
It really is. One of the guys, because Michael was playing, who was never fortunate to win a championship. Because Michael prevented an entire generation of Hall of Fame basketball players from winning championships. You mentioned Antoine Walker before. We're celebrating a championship down here, the Panthers Stanley Cup. Do you remember Antoine Walker after the Heat won the NBA title in 2006? How many days straight he partied in Las Vegas?
I remember hearing
He called us from a blackjack table.
I remember hearing of it. And that team, I remember when they won it, I was like, this is going to be crazy amounts of celebration, because the people on that team that never thought they would like be in integral part of a championship, or other people didn't think they would be an integral part of a championship. Antoine Walker, Jason Williams.
Yes.
Like, come on. Jason Williams was a championship point guard. That's insane. And when I got in there,
because of Dwayne Wade.
Right. Udonis Haslem, undrafted, had to lose all that weight. I got into that locker room, and Jason Williams, I think, just didn't really understand that I was a journalist at the moment, and just like, Izzy! And he just starts pouring beer. I wish it was champagne, but just beer on top of both my. And I had my electronic recording device, and I was like, man, this thing is shot.
Right.
Like, I'm screwed. Probably my most important game. I can't use this anymore. I got to start writing everything.
Wait, so this is interesting. How is a journalist supposed to act when he is in the middle of a celebration? You have to embrace the celebration, right? Put down the pen, put down the paper, put down all of it, and just enjoy the celebration.
No, I don't think you can. First of all, you got work to do. Right. Like, you got work to do, and there's no, like, celebrating there. And like, at the time, I remember wearing like a shirt and tie. I never wear a shirt and tie to games.
Right.
And then, like, that was just soaked. I don't think I could wear it. The tie was just wasted. And even the paper I was writing on was wet. And so, like, I remember having to go after that, going to talk to Udonis Haslem, who was over there crying and telling this really emotional story and writing on wet paper and being like, damn it, I'm going to have to, like, remember most of these quotes because you can't party. You can't party with it. Plus, you look ridiculous.
I mean, you care about journalism. So, I mean.
I care about my job.
Well,
journalism in general, I do care about it, but I'm not, like, holding it up on my own.
What was Cody's name for Draisaitl?
Leon No Title.
That's a journalist right there. Taylor has a game for you, Izzy. Thank you for coming in again today. I have a feeling it's the same game as last week.
You guessed it. It's Izzy or Izzyn't He?
So he landed on that. Not Israel.
It could be is or is not, you know?
It could,
Right?
but it's Izzy or Izzyn't He?
Okay. I invented the game, so it's on me.
I kind of like Gutierrez or Bad Tierras. But anyway, is he or isn't he? Let's go.
It's Taylor's game.
I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, and he said Desmond Bane is a top 35 to 43 player in the league. Is he or isn't he?
Wait, he has him slotted in at 35 to 43?
On the spot,
Wow.
he said 35 to 43.
All right, initially I would say that's crazy math to try to break down real quick, but we can do this.
Okay.
There's only 24 players in the All-Star rosters, right? He's not one of them, so he's
Right.
outside the top 25.
Okay.
And
Is
then
he in the next 11?
right. And so if you can think of 5 or 6 guys that are probably in that same neighborhood, like never really made an All-Star game or made one All-Star game or better than him, I think he's right there in that neighborhood. I think that was bang on by Mr. Simmons.
Is
So
he?
is he?
Okay.
Is he?
All right, good.
And the last one for today. There's
Just two?
Yep, just two. There's a lot of questions. Where do the Grizzlies go from here once they trade Desmond Bane? Ja Morant, overrated? Is he or isn't he?
Overrated. Well, let's see how Ja Morant is thought of. Like, I think currently he's thought of as a lead guy who is probably not that durable, right? Probably won't be able to get you through 4 rounds of the playoffs without getting hurt. So I don't think he's overrated in that sense. I think people think he needs a stronger number 2 because Bane wasn't that and Jaren Jackson Jr. might not be that.
Bane was almost that.
He was almost that. Top 35 for sure.
Probably 37 I have.
I do not think.
At 49.
I would say Izzyn't He. I don't think he is overrated. I think he is properly rated now. I think that time off that he had from that suspension, and then this year where he was basically kind of, from inside information, kind of playing whenever the hell he wanted to, and not a great locker room guy. So I think that has knocked his value, at least within the league, and probably even within fans. So I'd say he is properly rated at the moment.
All right. So is that an Izzy or?
That's an Izzyn't He. He isn't overrated.
What was the, where did Simmons have him slotted in? What was the range there?
35 to 43.
Yeah. Get Simmons on next week, okay? I want to know who number 44 was. I need to know who number 4 is. And also get Ja Morant on only so we can play Ja or Nah. Yeah, you like that, right? Get Ja Morant on and get a Kachuk on, okay? Any Kachuk. I'll take any. I have a number. You want a number for a Kachuk? All right, I have a number. Are you going to try to get him on? Yes. Are you going to be scared? Taylor's very scared to call guest, is he? Like, I have all these numbers. I'm afraid to give them to Taylor. He's going to abuse them. He's going to ask people for information.
No.
He's going to do what a young Stugotz would have done with these very same numbers that I have.
I'm trying to imagine a conversation where he actually gets Ja Morant to pick up the phone, and it's just him and Ja Morant chopping it up.
Ja, nah.
I hope he knows stuff about guns.
Ja or nah.